Welcome to You Learn. In this video, we'll be learning about Arid cycle of erosion, which was postulated by W.M.DAVIS in 1905. So he has said this Arid cycle of erosion is applicable only in mountainous deserts. And two factors are responsible for this arid cycle of erosion: wind and water. The arid regions are dry, and here the mean annual rainfall is less than 25 centimeter. And here the wind which blow is very fast, and here the climate is the weather conditions are extreme. So during the daytime it is very hot, and during the night time it's very dry, very cold. So these factors, the wind and water, both, and here the water comes in the form of rainstorms. Then even the rainstorms are occasional rainstorms here. And he postulated this theory in four different stages: the initial stage, youth stage, maturity stage, and old stage. Let's begin with the initial stage. The initial stage, so I said that it's an extremely dry climate, and the mean annual rainfall is less than 25 centimeter. The tectonic movement is happening in the initial stage. This tectonic movement is causing upliftment of deserts. So upliftment, it can be folding, or because of folding, it can form fold mountains or faulting, folding or faulting. So faulting. So because of this, folding or faulting, because of the tectonic movements, so upliftment is taking place. This upliftment is causing formation of desert mountains. So here, uplifted development of isolated intermountain basins develop here. This intermountain, between these two different mountains, there is a region which is called as intermountain basins. Here, drainage is also started. Initiations, the formation of drainage happens. So wherever there's a sloping pattern are there, and the consequent drainage. So and in the direction of the slope, the rivers flow, and what this drainage comes. It's a centripetal drainage system. It's a centripetal drainage system. The water gets collected here, and it forms a basin here. So intermountain basins are developed here, and apart from that, here active evaporation is taking place because it's an arid region and the temperatures are very high in the daytime. Active evaporation is happening, and because of that, playas also is formed. So next is the youth stage. Reduction of the relief is happening. So in this reduction of relief, erosion and deposition, not only reduction in the relief, deposition process also is happening. Erosion is also happening. Erosion is caused by both wind and water. So here, these rainstorms are occasional rainstorms, and here backwasting and downwasting, both the processes are happening. This backwasting, suppose it is causing a lateral erosion. Laterally, so the width of this erosion is increasing, and downwasting, because of downwasting, the height is reduced significantly. Downwasting lowers the height, whereas backwasting, lateral erosion is happening because of backwasting. So the water divide is getting narrowed. Suppose two different drainage basins are there. So here drainage basins are there, and another drainage basin is there, and the water divide, which is elevated highland, which separates two water basins. This is one water basin, and this is another water basin, which is separated by a divide. That divide, we call it as water divide. So this water divide is there, and because of the erosion, here the narrowing, this basin, the size of the basin increases, the size of the water divide slowly decreasing. So that's what is happening. And zone of degradation. So this region, we call that as zone of degradation. So because it is lowering the height of mountains, as well as it is narrowing the water divide. And wind causes deflation. So wherever loose sand is there, it causes deflation, which causes smaller depression. A bowl-like landform is created there. So here, this is called blowout. This depression, the smaller depression created by wind, we call it as blowout. Playa lake is also formed in the center of the basins. Because of the deposition process, we call it as zone of aggradation. So because of deposition, the eroded material from the hills, and this is sedimented at the foothills of the mountain, and this triangular shaped sediments which is formed by the erosional process after deposition. So this we call it as alluvial fan. This alluvial fan, more than one, more many alluvial fans join together and forms bajadas. We call it as bajadas. And in some regions sand dunes because of the erosion of the wind, and these winds deposit sand dunes, deposits wind sands. These wind depot carry these sand particles and sediment there, and it also forms sand dunes in certain regions. So that's how in the youth stage reduction of relief is happening. So here we can see here we can in the arid region. So this is a mountainous region. So here we can see that it's alluvial fan, a triangular shape, and many these alluvial fans joined here. So it's joining here, and it has formed bajadas, and the playa lakes also formed, and sand dunes also is formed because of the deposition which is done by erosion of sand which has deposited in certain regions and forms sand dunes. So next phase is maturity stage. Next stage is maturity stage. In this maturity stage, erosion and deposition both are happening. Here, rapid relief reduction is happening in this maturity stage. So progressive erosion is taking place very fastly. It's very significant here. Erosion is very fast, and the mountain divides. So as I said earlier, so these mountain divides. So the mountain divides. So there is reduction in mountain divides. So it was wider earlier in the youth phase. It was wider. Now it's reduced. So the basin, the both two basins or two or more basins, because this we call that as some divide, water divide. This water divide is reduced significantly, and because of that basins get expanded, the water basins get expanded, widening of the basins happen here, increasing of the size. And sometimes one basin will be in the higher slopes and another basin in the lower slopes. So this will become a tributary for the lower slope, which the basin which is located in the lower slopes or in the lower region, lower lying region, and that's how tributaries are created. Formation of rocket pediments. So this is a mountain slope, this is pediment. So this is a mountain slope. This region we call that is pediment, and below that we have bajadas or alluvial fans are formed here, and above that this region we call it as rocket pediments. This region we call it as a slightly sloping region. We call that as rocket pediments. And integration of basins and drainage system. So here, as I said here, these basins are integrated, joined together, and the drainage system. So the upper slope, from the upper slope or upper from the upper slope, the basins are from the excessive water is drained, and a new drainage or tributary system also formed, and that will be drained to the basin which is located in the lower region. So that's how tributaries are formed. So this one becomes the tributary to this larger basin. And deflation of sands becomes very active. Sand erosion is happening very actively in this region, and this makes the desert very bare pavements. Bare desert surfaces are created because of this excessive erosion. And deposition also is happening. So a filling of enclosed basin is happening. Suppose this is a basin here, the level, see here the deposition is happening, so the level of basin is going to rise. The level of basin is going to rise in this region. So that's a filling of enclosed basins are happening because of deposition. And sedimentation of basins also, it raises the level of this basin. So that's what is happening in the maturity stage. So next is so here we can see the difference between the youth stage and maturity stage. Here in the youth stage, you can see here the erosion in this stage. You can see that erosion, aggressive erosion has happened, and here that water divide is narrowed significantly. Here we can see that water divide has narrowed significantly, and in the maturity stage the water divide is very here the there is the it's by or dissection of water divide is happening, and multiple water basins have joined together and tributaries also have formed here. So in these basins, the water basins have become a larger. So that's what has happened here, and the water divide also has reduced significantly. The recession of water divides has happened here, and the relief also has reduced here. The height of these slopes also has reduced here. So that's what is happening in the maturity stage. So next is the old stage. In this old stage, in the old stage, a reduction of height is significantly happening. So here in this image itself, we can see the height has reduced significantly. Almost it has become a flat surface here. The islands have reduced to become a flat surface. Uncertain residual hills are there. We can see here underlying rocks which is projecting outside the plane of these deserts, that we call that as inselbergs. The residual hills, we call that as inselbergs. It's like islands, how it is projecting from the sea outside. That's how this looks like in the desert, projecting outside from the desert plain region. So the surrounding regions are plain region, but from that it's projecting outside, that we call that as inselbergs. And deflations of sands also is very active here, and many pediments and join to form here. Many pediments join and to form, and they are forming pediplanes. They are forming pediplanes here. So at the end of this process, at the end of the old stage, here this has become almost a plain surface, a mountainous region which was there in the initial stage, that has barely reduced to barely a desert pavement or desert surface, and it has become almost plain. Only the underlying rocks which are hard, that which is projecting, that which is still undergoing, erosional process, and that remains like inselbergs. So that's what has happening in the old stage. So here we can see here mountain fringe. Here in this image we can see here. So here debris accumulated, a fan like structure which has formed, and many these alluvial fans and join to form bajadas. Here this is a pediment region. So pediment region, the sloping is significantly changes from the mountain region. The slope slightly decreases and further decreases. This peripediment, this region is called peripediment, and this region is pediment. Together we call that as pediplane. So it becomes finally these mountains become a plain region at the end of the cycle. So that's how W.M.DAVIS has postulated this theory. And in this theory, he gave 4 stages: initial stage, youth stage, and maturity stage, and old stage. And in all these processes, erosion and deposition is erosion and deposition happens, and it's end with a mountainous region. A mountain finally becomes a desert plain. So that's what is about arid cycle of erection. Thank you for watching.